and welcome to this edition of Newsletter on 6. I'm Jim Fuller. In tonight's news, Coffee County moves up in the rankings of best places to live in Tennessee. Tennessee state parks are ranked in the top 4 in a nationwide competition, and the former Tullahoma Planning and Codes Director sues the city, claiming he was improperly dismissed from his position. We'll have these stories and more on tonight's Newsletter on 6.
I am tremendously blessed to be living at Parkview and very happy to be part of a loving and caring community.
Best thing you can say is this really a great place to live. That's all there is to it, no doubt about that.
It's your home. You just do what you would if you were at your private home. You know, we love it. It's great.
It's just like having a whole neighborhood around you, and it's fun.
It's just a great place to live.
I was skeptical about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. There are a lot of opinions being shared. But I had the chance to talk with my doctor about my concerns. He told me the vaccines are backed by decades of research, and that the vaccines are proven safe and effective. Now I'm protected and ready to put this pandemic behind us. Join the millions of Tennesseans who have decided to give COVID-19 vaccines a shot. Visit covid19.tn.gov to find an appointment today.
I can think of this wonderful little woman that I had. She said, I can't talk. There's nothing there. And she said, I want my voice back. After the first session, she was loud. I'll never forget this. She said, there's a voice in me still. Whether it's Parkinson's or a stroke or whatever, they are not at the bottom, but they can always get better.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back to the most recent Tullahoma Chamber Coffee. Alderman Robin Dunn spoke to the crowd about the second TEDx conference coming up at UTSI.
I've had the opportunity to serve this community in a number of capacities, but this one might be my favorite. So on Saturday, September 11th, right here at the University of Tennessee Space Institute, we are hosting the second TEDx Tullahoma, and I'm very thrilled about it. This is a completely locally organized event, and it's done in the spirit of TED that I'm sure you guys have seen on the YouTube, and it's just going to be a phenomenal, very uplifting event. Our theme this year is Micro, the Power of Small, and I think we've all seen this year just how unbelievably something so microscopic, something we can't even see, has completely changed the face of our planet. But at TEDx Tullahoma, we're not going to be talking about disease. We're going to be talking about health. And we're not going to be talking about failure. We're talking about awesome stuff. We're going to be talking about success. We're going to be talking about art. We've got beautiful artists that are going to be talking about what they do, their craft, and we're going to have performing artists for the first time. I'm very thrilled. It's an eclectic group. I will say that they're all people that I really admire. We've got dancers, we've got music, and we've got poetry. It's going to be beautiful. I want to thank our in-kind sponsors, the Chamber, the Tullahoma Chamber of Commerce, and also UTSI, who, if they were not a part of it, we could not have this happen. I want to welcome back National Aerospace Solutions. Bob Pullen is back there as one of our financial sponsors. Fran and Dan Markham, and also Brechtel. And I think you can tell by those names, these are visionaries. These are people who are able to see past what we have right now and are able to envision a different community, able to see different worlds beyond our own planet, and able to see things that don't even exist yet, and they're bringing them into fruition. So if you consider your business a visionary business, if you're one of those people, we would love to have you be one of our sponsors. As I said, we've got performers coming several hundred miles to be here, and we're looking for travel sponsors for those people. We would love to have you be a part of it. Our tickets go on sale next week. Big thanks to Christina Marin, who's doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes with our website there. If you want to be there, it is going to be a very exclusive event. You want a guaranteed ticket, you be a sponsor, we'll get you some tickets. So thank you all very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Coffee County has been included in the list of the top 25 counties to raise a family in Tennessee, according to Stacker.com. Coffee County was ranked number 24 in Tennessee. Items such as average rent, the quality of public and private schools, and more went into the criteria for deciding the ranking. Coffee County's statistics that brought it to the top portion of the list include a population of 55,209, median home values of $141,900, with 68% of residents in the county owning their home. Median rent is $737 per month, with 32% of the population renting. Median household income is $50,351 per year. The top public schools in the county are New Union Elementary School, scoring an A-, Tullahoma High School scored a B+, and Robert E. Lee Elementary School scored a B+. The top place to live in the county was the city of Manchester, scoring a B+. Tullahoma City and New Union Community scored a B. We'll be right back in a moment, right after this.
We teach Parkinson's patients how to move big and not let the Parkinson's slow them down. I've had patients I've treated in-house that could not even stand up, could not roll over in the bed, left the facility walking with a walker, have come back to us in outpatient and continued their big program and are now completely, handling life. The success of the program is just phenomenal.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
To be honest, I was skeptical about getting the COVID-19 vaccine.
I checked what the CDC says and spoke with my doctor about the potential side effects. It definitely made me much less anxious. She told me if I have some arm pain or feel tired, that's completely normal as my body builds a defense to the virus.
I was willing to take the vaccine to protect me, my family, and my friends.
Join the millions of Tennesseans who have decided to give COVID-19 vaccines a shot. Visit covid19.tn.gov to find an appointment today.
Welcome back. Historian Jack Harmon spoke about medical treatment during the Civil War at the latest Recreational Department Lunch and Learn meeting. In this segment, Jack talks about the goals of the field surgeons when dealing with the injured or sick troops.
So battlefield triage aimed to get the wounded soldiers off the battlefield as quickly as possible. Wounded soldiers unable to walk were picked up by medical orderlies and transported by litter to a field medical aid station. At the field aid station, an assistant surgeon or medical attendant would try to stop the bleeding, bandage the wound, stabilize the patient, and give pain medication as needed. Wounded soldiers requiring additional care then would be transported to a field hospital. Wounded soldiers were moved from the field aid stations to a field hospital in ambulances driven by medical orderlies. Now this is a typical Union ambulance, and this photograph is from Brandy Station. Now field hospitals were usually brigade level and set up in a house or barn at a safe distance from the fighting. After treatment at the field hospital, wounded requiring extended care would be transported to a general hospital, preferably by train or steamboat. Now, Carnton was used as a Confederate field hospital at the Battle of Franklin. Now, amputations were normally performed at the field hospitals. Now, for this life-saving procedure, the doctors were given the nickname sawbones. Now, many doctors became proficient in performing an amputation in less than 10 minutes. Abdominal surgery was rarely attempted since it almost always ended in fatal complications. Now, during an amputation, anesthesia was commonly used, usually chloroform, sometimes ether, rarely whiskey. For wounds of the limbs where the bone was shattered, amputation above the wound was the best way to save the soldier's life. The further away the wound was from the trunk of the body, the better the chance of survival. Some 30,000 amputations were performed by Union surgeons, and 75% of these soldiers survived. The number of amputations by Confederate surgeons likely was comparable, but these Confederate medical records were destroyed during the war. Now, early in the war, a general hospital likely would look like this. Too many politicians believed the war would be short, so there was no need to plan for any long-term medical needs of the soldiers. Late in the war, a general hospital would look like this. Wards were clean and airy. Doctors had learned the value of cleanliness, even though they still didn't know why. They also learned to quarantine a contagious disease into its own ward. Before the war, one went to a hospital to die. By the end of the war, there was a very big change in patient attitude. One now went to the hospital to get well. Chimborazo Hospital in Richmond was the largest hospital in the Western Hemisphere. It had 4,500 beds. Some 76,000 patients were treated at Chimborazo, with most being for illness. The Confederates had 20,000 hospital beds in and around Richmond. In general hospitals of both the North and the South, women nurses became a very important part of patient care. Now, prior to the war, the Metro Planning Department building was a military academy headed by Confederate General Bushrod Johnson. The Federals used the building as a hospital during the war years. Now a little bit about Johnny Reb and Billy Yank. Now the average soldier was 25 years old. He was 5 foot 8 inches tall and weighed 143 pounds. Now, early enlistment requirements were quite lax. If you could walk and you could carry a gun, you had a trigger finger, and you had your 4 front teeth, then you were eligible to go into the military. Now, too many early recruits were frail and illness prone, and many recruits were from rural areas and had no immunity to childhood diseases. Now, enlistment requirements would be strengthened as the war progressed. As noted, potential recruits without 4 front teeth were not accepted into the military. Now, without these teeth, a soldier would not be able to easily tear open the paper pouch containing the gunpowder needed to reload a musket. So this requirement is the origin of the draft category 4F used today to denote the unfit for military service. Now, the daily ration consisted of coffee, sugar, and salt allotments, 1 pound of hardtack, 1 1/4 pounds of fresh meat, or 3/4 pound salt pork, which was often rancid and mostly fat, occasional dried vegetables that did not prevent scurvy. Fresh fruit and vegetables were almost unknown. Union troops were much more likely to receive a full day's ration than Confederate troops. Both armies relied heavily on forage to supplement their ration. With the standard food ration, it's not surprising that many troops began to suffer from malnutrition and were more susceptible to illness as the war continued. Now, almost 70% of Union deaths during the war were from disease. About 60% of Confederate deaths during the war were from disease. Now, Confederate prison camps during the war have a deserved bad reputation. The bad conditions were not from the lack of compassion, but from the lack of supplies. However, note that just as many Southern prisoners died in Union prison camps, and we don't hear a lot about that. One source cites that as many as 67,000 Union soldiers died in Confederate prison camps.
More news is coming up in a moment.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. Get to Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
All right, the cat's out of the bag at Carroll Street Liquor in Tullahoma. Now you know where to go if you're planning a get-together and want the ideal wine or spirit. Party planning can be stressful, but at Carroll Street Liquor you'll find everything you need. Mixers, gift sets, and all of your favorite spirit brands. So if you're feeling the pressure to pull off the ideal party, come to Carroll Street Liquor and select among the seemingly endless supply of wines, spirits, gift sets, and more. Your perfect party, it's in the bag with Carroll Street Liquors.
Welcome back. The American Academy for Parks and Recreation Administration, in partnership with the National Recreation and Park Association, has recognized Tennessee state parks as one of the best state park systems in the nation. Tennessee has made it into the Final Four in the national competition and will compete for the gold medal at the September National Conference. This video highlights some of the successes of Tennessee state parks over the last several years and showcases key elements from the award application. Several partners are mentioned in this video and are worthy of recognition for their role in making Tennessee state parks the best in the nation.
In Tennessee, the parks we love and protect are so much more than rolling hills and lush greenery. Our parks are a place for disconnecting from life's worries and reconnecting with each other. With nationally recognized resources and world-class facilities, our 56 biodiverse parks are a home away from home for every person we serve. As a high-quality CAPRA-accredited park system, our staff are some of the best in the nation, and their wide variety of skills provide unique wow moments for each of our visitors. Every park ranger and manager is a commissioned officer and certified interpretive guide, and the majority of our operations are run without concessionaires, ensuring the best people for the best experience.
Guest satisfaction is a core value at Tennessee State Parks, so we implemented a new real-time traffic management system that allows us to staff more effectively and better serve our visitors. Our guest satisfaction program also tracks visitor and stakeholder feedback, meaning we get constant improvement and it's always at the top of our mind.
In Tennessee, preserving our history really means something to us. Our renovation efforts to 1930s era cabins give our visitors the amenities they expect while still paying homage to the character of each cabin. When the Nashville area was devastated by a tornado in 2020, we were able to quickly reopen trails and sell downed timber to reinvest funds in restoration projects. We've spent several years improving the safety and visitor experience at Cummins Falls. This nationally recognized waterfall suffered from overcrowding and flash flooding. We installed water level monitors and early warning protocols. We also implemented safety video screenings and permits to improve the visitor experience while better protecting the resource.
Our preemptive support of natural resource conservation has helped us prevent white nose syndrome from spreading amongst bat populations in our caves, rejuvenate exhausted natural beauties, and restore habitats through prescribed birds.
As we continue implementing new programs and expanding opportunities, Tennessee state parks are committed to equity and accessibility.
As one of only 7 park systems with no entry fees, we are committed to maintaining free admission and growing outreach to a new set of visitors.
We're prioritizing partnerships with organizations like Abundant Life, who provide opportunities for minority groups to find community in the outdoors. Our parks are also a driving force for the economic development of disadvantaged rural counties.
The focus of parks sending people to communities like ours has helped us move off the distressed counties list.
Looking to the future, we're increasing literacy through early childhood intervention. We're offering outdoor classrooms, storybook trails, and partnering with our conservancy to provide transportation grants for underfunded schools. With public health at the forefront of our commitments, we work with local schools and healthcare professionals to promote nature as a mental and physical health resource. We are teaching children to love real food and encouraging our staff to live healthy, mindful lives.
Like many park systems, we were inundated by people in search of safe activities during the pandemic. This drove the need for a short-term closure and reset period, which we used to develop procedures, purchase safety equipment, create signage, and prepare our visitors for a safe return to the outdoors.
Parks shifted to virtual programming at the start of the closure to ensure we could still serve those in need. We reopened shortly thereafter, allowing Tennessee state parks to serve as a refuge throughout the pandemic. When vacations were canceled, schools and gyms were closed, and we were all navigating a year of uncertainty, Tennessee state parks were there, a place for disconnecting from life's worries, a place for reconnecting with each other, and a home away from home. Tennessee state parks, for the love of Tennessee.
Tennessee's 2021 Free Fishing Day is this Saturday. Anyone may fish free without a license in Tennessee's public waters. The Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency provides the annual free day in hopes of increasing interest in fishing. This day allows anyone the opportunity to try fishing to celebrate fishing as a wholesome and healthy recreational opportunity. In addition, children ages 15 and younger may fish without a license on Free Fishing Day through Friday, June the 18th. The day and week are annual events in Tennessee and are great opportunities to introduce children to the enjoyment and excitement of a day on the water catching fish. Academy Sports Plus Outdoors has sponsored this year's event statewide with many fishing and gear giveaways. Many events are returning this year after being canceled last year due to the pandemic. The TWRA is among several organizations planning special fishing events primarily for youngsters. The TWRA annually stocks several thousand pounds of fish for various events. Parents can go to tnwildlife.org and download a free fish certificate that commemorates that special moment in every child's life when they land that first fish. You can also learn more about fishing programs in Tennessee at that website. Free Fishing Day and Week apply to Tennessee's public waters, TWRA owned and operated lakes and state park facilities. Some privately owned pay lakes and ponds may continue to charge during this day. We'll be right back in just a moment after these messages.
Hello, I'm Ray Norris, Mayor of Tullahoma. I want to thank the citizens of Tullahoma who've been following the CDC guidelines for helping prevent the spread of COVID-19. You've been wearing your mask, you've been getting your vaccinations, and I'll tell you, it's working. Today, our positivity rate is less than 5%. That's the lowest it's been since the earliest days of our pandemic. So, now I want to urge each of you to continue to follow these guidelines, and together, let's get this pandemic behind us and get our country back to the old normal where we need to be. Thank you.
We tend to lose our motivation when we have something that's chronic, but you've got to do what you can early on as you can. After I'd exercise like that, I would have a lot of energy to do housework or whatever I needed. Well, I would recommend it highly to anyone at any degree of Parkinson.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Clayton's has been Tullahoma's shoe store for over 120 years, and Florence Hall continues that tradition today. We're the only shoe store in town that starts with measuring your foot to make sure you get the perfect fit in a quality shoe. That includes narrow through wide widths for men, women, and children. Clayton Shoes, the family shoe store you'll love.
We're gonna fit your style. We're gonna make you smile. Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna fit your style.
Welcome back. The former director of planning and codes for the city of Tullahoma is suing his former employee for $2.5 million for allegedly violating his due process, civil, and liberty rights. Lee Lawson, who served as the city's planning and codes director from October 2015 until June 2020, claims the city of Tullahoma and city administrator Jennifer Moody unilaterally terminated his employment and violated his rights to due process and liberty interest after he refused to give special treatment to certain properties favored by Moody. Lawson further alleged when he did not provide leniency to those certain properties, he was reprimanded, with Moody alleging that he refused face-to-face meetings with members of the public, despite that being required as part of his position. Lawson's complaint states Lawson utilized his staff members to make initial contact with the public when they required assistance. He would then meet with individuals who required further assistance, according to the complaint. Lawson's complaint states he was only given 2 days' notice before a predisposition hearing on his job performance, at which time the only evidence against him was Moody's own testimony. Lawson was removed from his position June the 5th, 2020. Following his removal from duty, Lawson submitted a written letter to then Mayor Lane Curley requesting to appeal his termination before the full city board. Mayor Curley denied the request, however, and Lawson exhausted his internal remedies. Lawson's complaint also alleges he requested a name-clearing hearing from the city, seeking to have comments made about him publicly erased, amended, or retracted, but that request was denied by Moody on October 23, 2020. Lawson and the attorney seek $2.5 million in compensatory damages, as well as damages for the future employment of his positions in which he had a property interest, specifically included but not limited to consequential damages and lost earnings in an amount to be proven at a 12-person jury trial. Also, attorney's fees and associated costs are requested. Lawson is being represented by Daniel W. Ames of Murfreesboro. As of today, the city had not filed a response to the complaint. We will update viewers as this story develops. Stay with us. Your weather forecast is coming up next.
I am tremendously blessed to be living at Parkview and very happy to be part of a loving and caring community.
Best thing you can say is this really a great place to live. That's all there is to it, no doubt about that.
It's your home. You just do what you would if you were at your private home. You know, we love it. It's great.
It's just like having a whole neighborhood around you, and it's fun.
It's just a great place to live.
We're losing it, Doctor.
Not on my shift. Quickly, brush. Roller.
What a transformation. It's going to be okay.
Okay, nothing.
At Paintworks of Tullahoma, we specialize in domestic emergencies with Martin Senior Paints. You can be the paint doctor too when you treat your home with Martin Senior interior and exterior finishes.
Doctor, we've got another one.
Got you covered.
Paintworks of Tullahoma. Come see the paint doctor, Stat.
Welcome back. We'll take a look at your weather forecast at this time, starting with your weather history on this day. Our record high was in 1953 at 97 degrees. The record low in 1988 at 46 degrees. Average high on this day is 83, and the average low is 63. Storms expected tonight. In fact, they're likely tonight with a low of 59 degrees. Thunderstorms in the forecast for Friday with a high of 82 and a low of 69. And storms again likely on Saturday with a high of 86 and a low of 68. And that's our news leader report for this evening. We invite you to join us each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6, 8, and 10 for News Leader on 6. You have a good evening.